On July 6th, Xbox's new CEO sent a memo that ended 20 years of pretending. 1,600 people laid off immediately. Up to 3,200, 20% of the entire gaming division, gone within a year. 4 beloved studios: Double Fine, Ninja Theory, Compulsion, Undead Labs, pushed out the door. And buried in that memo was a number that explains everything. By Xbox's own admission, for every dollar it invested in its studios in a typical year, it lost 64 cents. Now, I'm not here to tell you that Xbox is evil. I want to walk you through the arithmetic, because when I read that memo, the 64 cents line is the one I kept rereading. And once you see the math behind it, the last 8 years, the acquisitions, Game Pass, going multi-platform, and now this, all of it reads like a company slowly figuring out in public that its business model doesn't work. Let's go through it. First, the facts, because the details matter more than the outrage. Asha Sharma, who replaced Phil Spencer as Xbox CEO in February, announced what she herself called the most significant restructure in Xbox history. Roughly 1,600 layoffs began the same day. Up to 1,600 more will follow across the fiscal year. That's about 1 in 5 people at Xbox. The cuts are not evenly spread. Reports put id Software, the studio that just shipped Doom: The Dark Ages, at around half its workforce. Obsidian, around a quarter. The platform side, hardware, marketing, Game Pass operations, is being cut hard too. Then there are the divestments: Ninja Theory, Double Fine, Compulsion Games, and Undead Labs. Together, about 350 people are being spun out or sold. Not closed, Microsoft insists. Set free. Though the word free is doing most the heavy lifting when your former owner just told the world that you lose money, and the timing tells you this was planned to the day. Announced right as Microsoft's new fiscal year begins. Nobody panics on a schedule. Now, one more detail. Sharma's memo says none of the announced first-party games are cancelled. Remember that line. We'll come back to what it doesn't say. To understand why this happened, you have to go back to the buying spree. Starting in 2018, Xbox went shopping. Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Double Fine, Compulsion. Then the big ones: ZeniMax, Bethesda, id, Arcane, for $7.5 billion. Then Activision Blizzard for $69 billion, the largest acquisition in gaming history. The logic sounded reasonable at the time. Game Pass was the future. A Netflix of games needs. A constant flow of content. So you buy the content makers, feed the subscription, and volume does the rest. Except the subscription didn't do the rest. Game Pass grew, then plateaued. And when Xbox raised the price by $10 a month last year, its own chief strategy officer admits it lost millions of subscribers within months. Here is the memo's confession in plain terms. Xbox entered this console generation with a smaller install base and higher costs. They bet on Game Pass and a broad content portfolio to grow its way out. And when growth came in slower than hoped, it responded by adding more teams, more investment, more time. Hoping. $20 billion of spending over 5 years. And that's excluding the Activision deal. Revenue over the same period? Down. Nearly $500 million. Sit with that for a second. They spent $20 billion, and the business got smaller. So why does a division backed by the richest software company on earth lose 64 cents on the dollar? 3 mechanisms. Mechanism 1. Game Pass ate its own retail sales. When your game launches day 1 on a subscription, the people most likely to buy it at full price don't. The studios being divested made exactly the kind of mid-sized, critically loved games, Psychonauts, Hellblade, South of Midnight, that subscription economics punishes the hardest. Millions of players, minimal revenue attributed back. The players showed up, the money didn't. Mechanism 2. The console business itself is shrinking under Xbox's feet. Fewer consoles sold this generation. And now a hardware crisis on top. Memory prices have exploded because AI data centers are buying up the same components, making consoles more expensive to build, right as fewer people are buying them. Sharma called it the most severe hardware crisis in the industry's history. And for once, the corporate language might be understating it. Mechanism 3. And this is the one that nobody at Microsoft will say directly. Xbox is no longer competing against PlayStation for Microsoft's money. It's competing against AI data centers. Microsoft is spending over $100 billion this fiscal year on AI and cloud infrastructure. Xbox's entire 5-year studio investment, that whole $20 billion, is about 10 weeks of Microsoft's AI budget. When one part of your company returns 36 cents on the dollar, and the other part is the reason your stock exists, the memo writes itself. And remember, Microsoft made almost $32 billion in profit last quarter. The company is doing fine. It's Xbox that's the line item no longer justifying itself. Now, zoom out, because Xbox is the loudest example of something industry-wide. Roughly 45,000 game industry jobs have been erased since 2022. This year alone, thousands more, led by Epic. Yes, Fortnite Epic, cutting around 1,000 roles. A recent developer survey found 1 in 3 US game developers was laid off in just the last 2 years. And here's the perverse part. Gaming has never made more money. Record global revenue. Biggest entertainment industry on Earth. All of that success, and the people who actually make the games keep getting shredded. The pressure is producing something that gaming has rarely seen. Organized resistance. Over 3,500 unionized workers across Microsoft studios publicly opposed this restructure. In Europe, Ubisoft's Barcelona workers walked out on strike this month. The relationship between this industry and its workers is being renegotiated in real time, and that's a story that I'll be covering on this channel. Because Xbox isn't an anomaly, it's the clearest case study of the whole industry's broken equation: pandemic overhiring, subscription math that never closed, and now AI competing for the same capital, the same chips, and, increasingly, the same jobs. So here's my read, and it's the part that nobody at Microsoft will say out loud. The console is already dead. And this reset? To me, it looks like the paperwork you file before announcing the funeral. Now, don't take my word for it. Watch what they're doing, not what they're saying. In court filings from the Activision deal, Microsoft projected Game Pass would hit 77 million subscribers by mid-2026. The reported number today? 30 million. They missed their own target by 47 million subscribers. They didn't even reach half of it. And it's 4 million fewer than Microsoft claimed 2 years ago. The engine that was supposed to justify the entire strategy has gone into reverse. Meanwhile, Minecraft and King now report directly to the CEO. Franchises over studios. Xbox games shipping on PlayStation. Every move points in the same direction. Xbox is becoming a third-party publisher. The console is legacy hardware. And they'll keep supporting it just long enough to avoid saying that sentence in public. I just said it for them. What to watch next? Whether the 4 divested studios actually survive independence, whether Arcane and Blade make it through the year, and what happens to Game Pass pricing by December. I'll be tracking all of it. If you're looking for the business of gaming explained with numbers instead of noise, subscribe.